On one horrible occasion, I had a new guy who was I had not got able to get to know, and he was one angry man because he lost his best friend, and he was out for vengeance. And one day we went on a patrol on a village near Hill 55, and we spread out to investigate this small village, which I felt was very suspect in the behavior. It was very deadly quiet, and something was, they were hiding or what. So my men searched the village, and I was in the center of the village with my radio man and corpsman. And one of the guys, the one I'm talking about, had to be retrieved from where he was, and he came out pulling on this young woman collar with holding an infant child, and they were both screaming and crying. I did not have an interpreter with me. And so this tiny little circle of my corpsman and this guy and myself and the woman and her baby was like in 2 feet of each other. And I'm trying to find out from my man, what in the heck are you doing? What went on? And he was very upset and angry that he got caught doing something. I don't know if it was sexual or what. And all of a sudden, right before my eyes, he raised his arm up with his 45 and he shot the woman point blank, going through the back of the child and into the chest of the mother. And she dropped immediately to the ground. And the corpsman went down and announced that they were both dead. And the child was no more than 6 months old. And I witnessed an outright murder of this young woman and her child to keep her silent from telling her story. And with his hand still extended with the 45, I reached out and grabbed the 45 out of his hand and disarmed him, took his M16 off of his shoulder. And of course, the village went berserk and crying and what have you. And we backed off. I had the radio man call ahead to tell them that a shot had been fired and no shots returned. And I knew I would have to have made my report to the command section when we returned. And halfway back, when we returned, 3 of the men who were friends of the one who shot the woman and her baby confronted me that I had better not make my report the way it happened. And they directly threatened me. So when we got to the hill, it was no moon, it was pitch dark, and I was very upset. And the rest of the men went to the chow hall, and I went to my tent, and it was black dark. And later on that night, I had a M16 pointed at my neck, and there were knees on my back. And I was told that if I wanted to live, I would not report this as it happened. And I was required to report my patrol experience in the morning at 8 o'clock after breakfast. Well, I didn't eat breakfast, much less dinner. And I went in to make my report, and somehow my lieutenant and captain his superior, found out behind my back that some of my men had told them what happened, that my life was threatened, but they did not know about the part that happened at 2 o'clock in the morning. And they told me that they knew enough to know that I held back that particular part to protect my life. And so consequently, I was fully aware of what fratricide meant, being killed by your own men, directly or indirectly. And the lieutenant and the captain told the clerk to type out a set of orders for me to go on R&R the next day. That he wanted me out of there, out of harm's way. And when I came back, the 3 men had been sent to prison for threatening my life. I didn't even have to testify. There was a lot of witnesses. So that murder is what caused me to have to go to see a psychiatrist in Da Nang. And the psychiatrist who interviewed me told me that if I wanted to, I can go back to the States early. And I had 4 more months to go. And when I came back to the Hill, I told my lieutenant I didn't want to go home. I want to finish my tour. But the condition was that they would not let me out on any more patrols, that I had to serve in a different capacity. And so that's the murder. It's too easy to conjure the image of this poor woman and her baby being murdered, outright murdered.
What toll has that memory taken on your life since the war?
Tremendous, tremendous. I'm on my 4th wife, if that means anything. Because of my nightmares and my acting out, if you will. I could see a woman in the store with her stroller with her baby in it, and I would have to leave right away, or I'd burst into tears. Things like that. Watching a movie with children, going through hell, World War II, Korea. I try to force myself to deal with it, but I can't. It's ongoing, and the few people over the course of my adult life that somehow has this attitude of you get over it, and I get violent because that is the wrong thing to say.
Because it's not possible.
No.